It's going to be a cold start to Sunday, and when we've got the showers, obviously that does bring the risk of some ice on the roads through the night and into Sunday morning. By and large, though, it is simply a lovely winter's day tomorrow. Bucket loads of sunshine.
Welcome to another episode of the Gristle Digest, the weekly podcast that chews the unsavoury cartilage of the previous week's news and spews out the views of two uninformed but shamefully well-endowed demagogues. I'm Arup, and I'm joined as ever by my good friend Paul Moss. How's it going, Paul?
It is not going too bad. It is not going too bad. When you're as endowed as we are.
Well,
it's going to be all right,
I felt the need to inform.
Hey, people need to know. People need to know. Exactly.
It's news. So top stories this week. Prime Minister up to his eyes in Panama Paper caper. Following the resignation of Icelandic Prime Minister Sigmundur Gunnlaugsson, Prime Minister David Cameron, or Panama Red to his friends, has found himself in hot water after his father was named as a client of Mossack Fonseca, the now notorious law firm named in the Panama Papers, and the former Uruguayan midfielder with a penchant for ponytails and professional fouling. The Prime Minister's father, Ian Cameron, or No Tax Ian to his mates, was behind a large offshore investment fund that was set up to avoid tax. His interest in the fund passed on to the Prime Minister upon his father's death and was purportedly sold by the Prime Minister upon his election in 2010. Thankfully, the Prime Minister has helpfully indicated that people are to blame him for the lack of transparency regarding his affairs, showing what an absolute gent he truly is. A real tax-avoiding parasitic gent. And also, it served to remind the masses that no matter how much the Prime Minister uses words like totes and pay packet, he still represents the same bunch of top hat wearing grouse abusers as he always did. Tests, and the next story is tests reveal that the Archbishop of Canterbury's mother was in fact a very naughty minx. I'm not sure if you heard about this one. The Archbishop of Canterbury learned that it was 99.98% certain that his father was in fact not who he thought it would be. Did you hear about this?
I did, yeah, I did in passing. 99.98%, that
is relatively certain.
There's not a lot of doubt in there, is there?
Yeah, there's not a lot of doubt in that. A DNA test was undertaken by the Kent-based ecclesiastical top dog. Showed that his father was not whiskey salesman Gavin Welby, but instead it was Winston Churchill's private secretary, Sir Anthony Montague Brown. His naughty mother, Lady Williams of Elville, confirmed she had a liaison with Sir Anthony just before she wed Gavin Welby in 1955. She said the news has come as an almost unbelievable shock, and although her memory of the time was patchy, she records sleeping with the former colleague, Sir Anthony, after a large amount of alcohol was consumed on both sides. She denied rumours that Sir Winston subbed in for Sir Anthony whilst Lady Williams was coitally engaged but facing the other way. And it was also denied that Sir Winston performed an act of what was later known to be Bill Clintonism on her with his cigar. That was quite a spicy story. The next and final story is France risks criminalising the entire male populace by outlawing prostitution. Paying for sex in France could now be punished by fines of over €3,000, as MPs voted to outlaw the practice following 2 years of legislative wrangling in trying to pass the controversial bill. Unsurprisingly, the bill has been met with protests, but not from salivating, camembert-breathed, prison convict libidoed Frenchmen, but from women's rights and sex workers groups. In addition to criminalising what French politicians have long considered to be a fulfilling hobby, the activists believe the new law will lead to sex workers and vulnerable people being even more marginalised. There is also the further risk that the unindustrious, cash-strapped Frenchman may be compelled to have even more may be compelled to behave even more rapey than before, with reported cases of unsolicited groping and calls of hee-haw expected to rise significantly. So, big stories this week, Paul.
Enormous stories.
Exactly.
Wow.
We'll start with what is easily the biggest story for
It's
quite a few weeks,
dominating
really. The Prime Minister and or just the Panama Papers generally. What do you make of all of that?
I'm shocked. I'm truly shocked. I had always had the Prime Minister and his mates down for a bunch of regular tax-paying Joes.
Yeah.
So
that's certainly how they present themselves.
I was like, really? The super rich aren't paying as much tax as they should be?
I know.
No way.
No
way. This was shocking stuff.
Yeah.
Revelations. It's crazy how some countries have dealt with this compared to us. Iceland are like, no, we're not having this. We've been here before.
Yeah, we've had our problems.
Yeah, get out.
But it was shocking. It was sort of surprising in a way that, say, like you went home and someone had planned a surprise party for you, and you found out about the party shortly before you got home, and then you opened the door and you had to pretend like you were surprised to see everyone there. It was exactly the same as that for me. I mean, like we all knew that they're sort of doing all of this nonsense with offshore tax havens.
They
and
had
the
to
rest
be.
of it.
They had to be. It's such the cliche of the sickeningly wealthy that no smoke without fire, and there appears to be a big fire and lots of tax havens.
I think I saw today as well that David Cameron. Firstly, he released his tax records, which apparently a Prime Minister has never done. So,
last 6 years.
Hats off, Dave. Well done. Yeah, exactly. Last 6 years. Well done.
Off.
Yeah, thanks, Dave, for doing it since you became Prime Minister. But and also he's proposing, or he's going to bring in a law that punishes people helping tax evaders. And I was like, well, that's very noble, but wouldn't you then have to punish half of your own government and like the whole of the HMRC because they just sit around helping people evade tax? It seems, like
there's going to be a lot of people surely in trouble with that particular route to solve the problem.
Yeah, a lot of the front bench would be.
Yeah, well, I think all of the front bench, which is crazy. And he released his last 6 years worth of tax statements.
Yeah,
unearthed some more shocking. He got given about 200k from his mum, so he didn't have to pay the appropriate taxes when his dad died, which is a little bit shocking. But the thing is, though, if you're trying to avoid paying tax, you're probably not going to put big details of that in your tax return, are you?
So... No. And also, I think the point was he, the interest in this fund, he sold it, and he sort of, cleaned out his affairs when he became Prime Minister, which was in 2010, i.e. 6 years ago. So...
Yeah, what was going on?
Yeah, we don't care what he did in the last 6 years because he's not stupid. He's the Prime Minister. He obviously knew that people would probably be scrutinising his affairs.
Exactly. He's certainly you're under the spotlight to an extent, aren't you? To an extent, when you are the leader of a powerful
to an extent.
nation.
I mean, you're not under the
people
spotlight in a way that, say, like Kim Kardashian or Joey Essex is under the spotlight.
Well, Cameron doesn't have the nude selfies that Kardashian has. So
he just doesn't have the authority or the.
And his take with Ray J was nowhere near as erotic. So.
Exactly. But big week for Mossack Fonseca.
This story is gonna go like it's got so much legs. There are more articles released in this than anything that happened before with like Snowden, any of those guys.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 million records or something. Numerous people caught up in it. It's going to take a while to go through this.
Yeah, there's I think a
lot of people are shitting themselves.
Yeah,
this is for the super rich. What it was like when that dating website Madison
right,
it's called, when that got hacked for dirtbags. This is
what
it's like for rich guys.
Yeah. If you're a rich dirtbag, it's been a rough 6 weeks for you, really.
It has. It's been shaky.
But I love the fact that this seems to happen now periodically, doesn't it? There's these kind of big disclosures or big hackings of documents.
It's a
we get a
beautiful
nice
kind of sign of the age we live in.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, is it? Are we being kind of tactically sort of just like disclosed information at certain times? I don't know, but this time as well, like whoever got the papers, I think briefed a panel of sort of 109 different press agencies or something like that across the world, and the Guardian or whoever were kind of the UK's sort of flag bearers. Like the Daily Mirror didn't really get in the room. They tried to, but
no riffraff.
Their reporter turned up without a top on. It was all a bit silly.
It was a sunny day. It was
a sunny day. Yeah, which was why
sun's
she was,
out, guns out.
Yeah, she was constantly on that lollipop. It was so unnecessary. But so what do you think about the Archbishop of Canterbury discovering that his father was in fact the wonderfully named Sir Anthony Montague Brown? I mean, if you're going to find out that your father is in fact not your own father, I mean, you couldn't choose a better name.
Montague Brown. The only bad thing is that you've got to look back and watch the Archbishop is 60. 60 years of potential Montague Browning he could have had that he's missed out on.
True.
So he's got to be feeling left out there.
And I suspect that he wouldn't have chosen the life of a priest because he would have been so inundated.
Doing what the Montague Browns do,
exactly,
which is philandering. Potential Archbishop mothers. It's
philandering. I was really disappointed to find out that Lady Williams of Elville, so the Archbishop's mother. I don't know if that's what he called her, Lady. Just at dinner, but
reaching the poshest climax in history.
Exactly, Lady Williams of Elville. But she was like, I was really, she's just sort of, she was an English sort of aristocratic lady, or at least became that way. But I was gutted that she wasn't sort of Polish or German, because then it would have been, a great opportunity for a joke, a la Churchill, like, Sir Anthony Montague Brown showed Churchill that he's not the only one that can fuck a German or fuck a Pole or whatever. But it didn't happen. And I actually researched it a bit. I found out I was trying to find out where she's from, and
you've gone into her genealogy.
Exactly. Has Churchill ever had a beef with people from Hertfordshire or something? But he hadn't, and so it just didn't work. But
that's a shame. That's a shame. I'd like to think that when prime ministerial secretaries have illegitimate children who go on to be archbishops, that they think of the comedy in it.
Well, exactly.
I mean, it's selfish from Montague Brown there, to be honest.
But I like the account of the evening that Lady Williams provided. She said the news has come as almost an unbelievable shock. It's almost unbelievable.
Given her son's profession, the story of almost unbelievable childbirths and pregnancies, should be, that is the cornerstone of what that lot believe, isn't it?
I mean, I like that. I like the fact that that's where you went. I was thinking, was she doing something which didn't normally or wouldn't normally result in conception of a child, and therefore was that I am so I'm really surprised that happened.
Really?
What? That's not. How did they? What did it? I mean, because I was standing that way.
They were different times then. It was a pruder nation.
Yeah, and you could just imagine
sat in the same chair
when
or something.
Sir Anthony Montague found out about it. In his office in sort of Whitehall, and he gets a phone call, and he's kind of like, "What? Yeah, I knew it," and just slams the phone down. I knew that would happen. Even when I did that, it was.
He must have known there was at least an outside chance of something like that happening.
Yeah,
which is amazing. But I read that the Archbishop was surprised because it was his birth was almost 9 months to the day of his what he thought was his parents, his mum and dad's wedding.
Yeah.
So. What was she doing? That means basically on the wedding day, just before she's having a bit of the old Montague Browntown. It's that is.
Yeah, and I know that you said Brown or you said town because it rhymes with Brown. But when you put it together as Browntown,
if they had taken a trip to Browntown, this whole mess would have been avoided, quite frankly.
Well, maybe they tried to. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe that's why she was so surprised.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I've been trying to say.
That's where I'm going.
That's what I've been bloody well trying to say. But no, but yeah, what will she do? Because it's either the day of the wedding or the day before or something. So she had some sort of wild hen do, and so Anthony Montague Brown wasn't making a lot of money as
perhaps he was a stripper
secretary.
Before his prime ministerial secretarial days,
or whilst being a prime ministerial secretary, he was just there for a bit on the
moonlighting.
side. Just used to turn up in like a bowler hat and stuff, bow tie, and just it's but poor old Gavin Welby. I mean, poor old
Welbers.
whiskey salesman
Welbers.
Gary Bell Welby. To have that happen. To
Welby.
Welby. But yeah, and the last story of this week, Paul, was the criminalisation of purchasing sex in France.
This is outrageous. Why not ban cheese and baguettes?
Unbelievable.
This is the nexus of the Frenchman.
I mean, I must say
Why?
this sort of story raised, sort of talking about laws to do with sex and everything, buying sex or whatever. And am I stupid in thinking I just thought it was illegal anyway? Is that just me? Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that they were doing this, I was like, oh, that's like. It wasn't what was it legal before that in France? What was the situation?
I'm not sure of how it works in France. I know here there's is it solicitation? Like you can buy it, but you can't promote it.
I have no idea. I've sort of I remember there was some sort of
great testament to both of our innocence here.
Yeah, exactly.
not knowing the ins and outs of whore law.
Of whore law. The whore laws. But no, it's been quite a big deal apparently in France, and people are kind of really up in arms about it. But it's the people that you would not expect. So it was women's rights groups and sex worker groups and things like that, and they're very much of the view that it's I don't know if it's just bad for business or if it's kind of like bad for the health and stuff. I mean, who knows? I suppose criminalising anything is normally leads to pretty bad
there's a risk involved, and for me it seems dangerous. I can't, I'm not surprised that it's it's not the people who you'd expect making the noise about this. They're just sat at home. With their wives, just going, about bloody time. This has gone on far too long. I couldn't agree more. This is,
I cannot believe it was even this way.
I didn't even know there were
3 or 5 times a week I used to go out. But it seems that they've restored some semblance of control over there.
Yeah, it does, but it seems crazy. It seems crazy.
Well, so those are the top stories this week. On this day in history. So, Paul, you remember last week I gave you 3 facts, and one of them you won't remember what they were.
Clearly. I remember the WrestleMania.
I did. Yeah, the WrestleMania was one of them. But so those are 3 facts which may or may not have happened on the 3rd of April. The first one was whether or not it was Barefoot Boy with Cheek. First night in New York. The second one was whether or not it was Hulk Hogan defeating the Ultimate Warrior, and the final one was Francis Drake completing his circumnavigation of the world. And the answer was it was in fact Barefoot Boy with Cheek. First night. Unfortunately, Hulk Hogan defeated the Ultimate Warrior on April the 1st, so it was actually 2 days before.
Ooh, and Warrior pinned Hogan.
Exactly, and Francis Drake completed his circumnavigation of the world on April the 4th, which is the day after. So
Drakers.
So this week, Paul, I've got 3 more for you.
I'm ready.
Now, as I sort of mentioned to you before we started recording this, I've gone for a bit of a different angle this week. This time, so last week, all 3 of those things were actual events in history. They just happened on different days. This week, one of these things is an event in history, and the other 2 are not. I don't want you to guess which one the event is.
Right.
And there's also a slight confession to make in that it relates to the 9th of April rather than the 10th, which is actually today. So apologies for that.
That's okay. That's going to throw me a little bit, but I'm good. I did read everything that happened on the 10th of April throughout history.
Oh, there you go.
Starting with the great expanse from singularity to a universe at the Big Bang. But I'm sure that knowledge is going to come in useful elsewhere. That's fine.
Well,
that's fine.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Okay, fact number 1. In 1645, Lancastrian peasant William Batty had his stomach sliced by a local justice of the peace, which led to the Batty Belly riots of the same year. I love the fact you laughed at William Batty.
I know.
Just his
a
name.
child. Batty.
Fact number 2 is in 1719, the Prussian badger baiter Gerhard Mittelschnitz illegally baited a Saxon badger, leading to the Franco-Prussian badger wars of the 1720s. And fact number 3 is merchant mariner Robert Jenkins had his ear cut off by a Spanish merchant, which led to the War of Jenkins' Ear, fought between Britain and Spain in 1739. So it's one of those 3. One of them happened, 2 of them didn't.
That is
answers next week.
A tilly of a pickle.
Which one are you going for?
I want the badger one.
Illegal badger or belly slicing.
Or old Batty. Or the Batty slice. I think my dad taught me one thing: never trust a Spaniard. I'm going to go with the ear cutting. It's got to be.
Mossy goes with ear cutting. We'll give you the answer next week.
The Moss Report. Now, a story that caught my eye this week was the renaming of the law school at George Mason University, Virginia, in the good old star-spangled, cheese and Trump-loving United States of America. It was decided by the university to rename its law college after the recently deceased Supreme Court Judge Antonin Scalia. Now, Scalia was a divisive character, to say the least. He was opposed to affirmative action. He was against accessible healthcare. He was strongly anti-immigration, devoutly anti-abortion. He supported and condoned the use of handheld rocket launchers under the Second Amendment. That's actually true. And he compared the morality of homosexuals and animal abusers and murderers. So, yeah, not the nicest guy, but not a terrible choice. Not a terrible choice. He did serve on the Supreme Court for 30 years, and he was appointed there by none other than the old renegade himself, Ronnie Reagan's. Anyway, they decided the new name of this law school would be the Antonin Scalia School of Law, which seems absolutely perfect, doesn't it? Perfectly respectable name for your law school. But it wasn't long until Eagle-Eyed Smarks noted that the acronym of the new school would be, and are you ready for this? ASSOL. The Antonin Scalia School of Law, ASSOL. ASSOL, which is brilliant. Certainly a name that people can get behind.
Pretty perfect.
It's not bad, really. It's not bad. Who wouldn't want to go asshole?
Yeah.
Now,
I'm going to asshole next year.
Just spent 5 years an asshole, so I think I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Asshole is so dirty.
Man, you want one of those asshole girls.
Oh my god, I got a job cleaning asshole.
It's amazing.
It could go on.
Well, it could have gone on, but incredibly poor spirits. The school has since changed its name again to the Antonin Scalia Law School, which is nowhere near as fun or seemingly appropriate for its gun-loving, racist, homophobic, but ultimately lovable namesake, Antonin Scalia. Now, all this has led me to worry, as 2016 seems to have become the year that all the celebrities die. And if this continuing trend of renaming educational institutes after recently expired celebrities or people of note continues, I do see some troubles ahead. Already this week, we've seen blushes from the newly named Terry Wogan Association of Technology, the Alan Rickman School of Economics, and the David Bowie University of Music for Artists' Creative Education, Twat, Arse, and De-Bumface.
De-Bumface. Oh, De-Bumface. when there's a reggae slant to it,
there's got to be, isn't there? There's got to be.
Yeah.
So, what do you make of all that then, Arup?
Well, I mean, it's very disappointing that they backed away from what would have been, a legendary choice of name for, and it would have got, people going there, wouldn't it? People that otherwise wouldn't have gone.
A whole new range of people who had never even thought of law as a vocation before, enticed by the
prospect of arsehole, but they backed away from that, and yeah, I mean, it's I was trying to think if I knew any other, inadvertently funny acronyms, and I can't think of any. Can you? Have we ever had that in England? That they've
really
any government departments or whatever they've gotten close to it. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I think in America they tend to use acronyms slightly more than we do. Yeah. Although I work in a place that seems quite obsessed with them. This sort of stuff is bound to happen, isn't it? Every now and then, the odd arsehole is going to pop out.
Are you a frustrated billionaire, tired of Government Joe taking your unfairly earned gains?
Are you worried about poor people, most of whom are probably brown, being given even one of your trillion or more pennies?
Are you a world leader with an inflated portfolio of questionable income revenue streams, looking for a safe haven to keep greedy socialists away from your fortune?
Well, I'm Mystic Simon Teller.
And I'm the amazing Peter Fortune, and we're the UK's first spiritualist financial advisors for the sickeningly rich.
Greedium, and we can help. Channeling the spirit of the Prime Minister's late father, Ian Cameron, with our patented Mossack Fonseca offshore Ouija board, we can tell you the safest haven for your cash.
That's right, Simon. We've helped hundreds of the world's most offensively wealthy dirtbags from paying even a single penny in tax. From Davy Ogunlausen to Jackie Chan, the spirit of Ian Cameron has helped them all. And if you're an oligarch, Arabian prince, wealthy industrialist, Hollywood star, political figure, professional sportsman or spoiled aristocrat, he could help you too.
Book an appointment today and gasp in amazement as the ghoulish spectre of Big Daddy Cameron, time and time again, puts together chains of complex offshore companies to keep the red hand of communism away from your loot.
Be amazed as the Mossack Fonseca offshore Ouija board enlists the help of hundreds of unwitting residents of the Bahamas and the British Virgin Islands to sign fraudulent company documents for you.
Meaning every piece of advice we give you is from beyond the grave, but above the law.
The haunting presence of Ian Cameron can help your non-tax fortune grow to a truly disgusting and insulting amount.
But wait, there's more.
Connect with the purgatorial prime ministerial parent of posthumous profit today, and you'll receive this great special offer.
For no extra fee, the macabre shadow of Ian Cameron will use your untaxed treasures to flood the UK property market, driving prices up for peasants and profits for princes.
So be silent while we summon the will of the Dark Lord to grant us access to the fifth and darkest realm of hell, and come forth the spirit of Ian Cameron. Come forth!
And keep the taxman away from uber-rich scum by exploiting international tax loopholes for tax avoidance purposes, which is somehow 100% perfectly legal but unfair and morally reprehensible.
So what are you waiting for? Light a candle in a dark room and say Ian Cameron 3 times into a mirror today and speak to one of our coven of White Witch accountants. Our shrewd financial acumen and gifts of psychic medium are ready to help.
Greedium. Greedium. Sports this week, and this week's unlucky bastard of the week is 4-time major winning South African golf supremo Ernie Els, who suffered a complete meltdown at the Masters in Augusta on Friday, taking 6 putts to down the ball from less than 2 feet. Have you seen this?
I did see this. Yeah, poor old Els.
Really, quite alarming.
Yeah.
He starts by. It's so close. He starts by just trying to knock it in one-handed, and then he misses, and then he tries again, and then he misses, and then he sort of composes himself to stand, and putt it properly, as if it was a real putt. and he misses.
Oh.
And it spins out quite far at that point. And then he again just sort of like casually just tries to walk up and just backhand it into it and misses, you know, and then takes just a tap in. Again, just stands there facing it, one-handed, taps it in, misses. And then the final one,
Elsie.
he basically like I guess he kind of hooks it with his golf club. And I don't think it's even illegal. I mean, I don't know much about golf, but I don't think that's a legal putt, you know, to sort of hook it with your golf club.
Are you allowed to lie down and like a snooker, like use your club as a snooker cue and pot it? Is that like if that's illegal, then the other thing should what else should be?
That's true.
It should be illegal. That's my opinion.
I think at that point, I thought he was going to cry. I mean, it was so. I mean, you saw it, did you?
It's painful. It's an anguish to watch it. That poor man.
But it's sort of like it's you know, like you see it. It's, you know. So the yips. Have you ever?
Yeah, the yips. Yeah.
The yips like, in sports. So
it just goes.
Like, you just forget. Yeah. So it happened to, I think it was Simon Kerrigan. I think his name was. He played one match for England. And I can't remember which county he played for in the cricket team. And he just forgot how to bowl. You know, he ran up
happened. It happened to Eric Bristow, the darts player. As well.
Eric Bristow, the darts player, exactly. So it's actually it's very unedifying to watch, but also quite hilarious.
It is
but
a bit funny.
So that's Unlucky Bastard of the Week. It's Ernie Else and Douchebag Sportsman of the Week this week. So this week's Douchebag Sportsman of the Week is Liverpool footballer Kolo Touré. Following claims made this week that he's treated his maid like a slave. Now, these are only claims, and they were claims made to a newspaper known for being crap. And
did you read it on a newspaper? I saw it on the Daily Mail. So,
yeah.
Take that! Shots fired. Shots fired.
Take that. Thing about the Mail, it's fair for the people. So you're taking that at the Mail, you're taking that at the people. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's so Alice Sawyer was the name of the maid, which is a really sort of movie star name anyway. But Alice Sawyer was forced to work 16-hour days for minimum wage and
less than minimum
scared
wage.
of Touré's wife that she fled the footballer's Cheshire mansion. The maid claims her passport was withheld by the Tourés. She was made to tie Mrs. Touré's shoelaces and perform other menial tasks, with their duties often not finishing until 3 a.m. I wonder why they felt like they had to withhold her passport. Did they suddenly think that they were Qatari construction, contractors looking to build stuff for the World Cup? Because
they just thought that was how things are done.
Yeah,
like they saw how Qatar were going about it, and it's like, oh right, we've got some workers. Have you got their passports, Colo? No, you should probably gather them. They could leave at any time.
I mean, it also brings into sharp focus the sort of massive entitlement of footballers these days. It would seem. I don't know if you remember Jermaine Defoe.
Yes.
Looking to advertise for a PA, and he's going to pay the PA $60,000 a year, but he wanted the PA to be a kind of marketing manager and sort of launch Jermaine Defoe as a global brand,
which the world is still waiting for.
The world is waiting for Jermaine Defoe.
Jermaine Defoe cereal.
Or just like Jeezy or whatever. You know, like how Kanye West has that clothing line, Jeezy. There'll be like the same. It would be. No, what's Kanye West called? Wheezy.
Yeah,
Wheezy. Have you seen what he looks like?
Asthma when he was a kid.
Exactly.
That's where that comes from.
Have you seen the clothes? Have you seen Wheezy? Wheezy clothing?
I saw. I haven't looked at much because I've no interest in Kanye West, but I did see a plain white T-shirt. Like nothing was on it. Plain white T-shirt. Wheezy, and it was $1 trillion or something. Like
I saw a picture of some show, I suppose, that they had to launch Wheezy clothes, and it was a lot of people on a stage, and they were all purporting to wear Wheezy clothes, and all I could say is they looked like the cast of Waterworld. Like they were wearing sort of post-apocalyptic.
There, he's got his gills on.
Yeah, just like post-apocalyptic, like tattered garms, And I just thought that looked so shit. But that's in Kanye West's mind. That's the world he lives in, isn't it? He lives in some weird.
That's it. But he's made noises about becoming president in the future, isn't he? Which, you know, given the Trump situation, isn't unbelievable. So perhaps he's preparing.
Perhaps he is.
He's preparing the nation for the tyrannical reign of Earth President Kanye.
I mean, if ever.
Yeah, when he nukes the world over Twitter beef.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't really kept much track of Kanye West on Twitter recently. I should try and, because he's sort of gone quiet, wasn't he? He had a little period of.
He did. He had a meltdown like a couple of weeks ago where he just just lost it. He was like, "Yeah, Zuckerberg, I need money."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well,
what's an app?
And that brings this week's show to an end. Be sure to tune in again next week. It's goodbye from me, Arup Sen.
And I'm Paul Moss.
I need to believe what people tell me. Let all my fans know I love them. But a gay fish just can't live in the outside world forever. Don't be sad for me, guys. I'm going home!